Take off your pants! Unleash your true self. Real unicorns don't wear pants. Oh, hey, money-making unicorns. I have a motherfucking present for you. Another unicorn treat. I love having guests on because I've done 2 fucking years of no guests, and so now bringing people on, it's like a fucking snack. You get a little unicorn cookie, and it comes in the form of motherfucking Casey Ship. If you guys don't know who this bitch is, like seriously, you live under a fucking rock. Casey, it's so great to have you here. Who the fuck are you, and why the fuck should they listen to you? Tell us all the things.
God, I love you, Nicole. You are such a gift. So I'm Casey, solstice of Nicole's, and I help women like Nicole help high performance women get healthy, lose weight by balancing their hormones. That's like the clickbaity, version of it, but really that's the clickbait version. That's how we lure the bitches in, pretty much, because everybody wants to be hot, everybody wants to be healthy and all that, and everybody's been to the functional medicine doctors, everybody's been to the docs. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? There's still something there that's not uncovered, and so we expose that through magic.
If you guys don't know, Casey has helped me with my fucking hormones to balance all this shit out, lose some fucking weight, but also to get rid of my fucking migraines. Like, I haven't had a migraine since we started working together. I just want you to know that, okay? I haven't had a migraine, and I've lost 10 pounds. Like, I've lost 10 pounds, but no cardio, all weights, right? All fucking weights. And doing all the mindset work obviously is fucking important. And, it's something that I think that, like, as mindset coaches, we kind of get into this thing where it's like, well, I just do my own mindset. Like, that's good and everything. And you should do your own fucking program, right? But also you should do other people's mindset work too, because it's going to activate you in a different way than you're going to activate your fucking self.
Totally. Like, I have something, you teach me things, I mean, it's just, we're ignorant to say that, oh, no, I've already done that. Like, it's just ignorant.
Yeah, fucking, I've already done the mindset work. Like, no. Bitch, no.
You would be there and have done that, bitch, if you had done that. She's got codes. Like, Nicole has codes. I have codes. We all have these frequencies and codes. And, like, why wouldn't you want to work with everybody and just mesh so that we can keep doing our job,
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're working with people who have the fucking results that you want and got them in a way that energetically aligns with you, that shit is fucking fire. So, Case. You guys, if you just don't know, we also met inside of another program. So we're actually like program colleagues, which is always so fucking interesting because we met in like bro marketing land. And it's funny because neither one of us are bro marketers. Bitch, what were you doing in bro marketing land? Why were you over there?
Oh God. Well, it's that's where I come from. Like, that's the whole story of me and Hotmomz and being in burnout is I was trying to do the bro shit, 2012. I really started coming into like shamanism and found myself doing all these journey meditations. Like, what the fuck? I was talking to like dead people, and I found somebody. I was like, what is wrong with me? Do I need to be committed or like what? And he goes, oh no, you're this and that. And I kind of learned about it, but still it seemed very, feminine. I was like, oh, fuck that shit. Where's the money? Like, I'm ready to make fucking money. I'm ready to go. And so I got into fitness. I thought that was going to bring me all this shit. Anyway, one thing led to another. And struggled my ass off, did the ClickFunnels game and fuck. And then I found Dan, after I found his ad, and he just said all the right things. He's great at marketing. Listen, I'll give it to him. Motherfucker channels some marketing. He's a great salesman, great marketing. And it was just all the pain points I was having, like just all the pain points I was having. I had the product, but the sales weren't there. And I had great results with him just implementing the first few things. I think, what was it? Whiteboard webinar,
Yeah.
That was great. He just gave me a system and it worked. And so I just stayed with him, and I was like, all right, I realized I was having trouble with messaging. Wish I'd have found you then. Wouldn't that have been fucking cool? Messaging. Yeah. Which, I mean, like, I'm so appreciative for Dan, like no shade thrown here. It's just like you said, it's bro versus feminine. And, God, I'm just glad I'm out of it. But anyway, that's how I found him. I was just in the bro world, just very in the bro world. And I think, Nicole, if I would have stayed there, it was bad. Like, sure, we hit 250K months or whatever, but I didn't feel like I was making a lot of that. And I was just, it's the grind. Like, it's disguised, but it's still a fucking grind. Everybody's still comparing numbers to numbers. They're in it. They're looking at the shit. Like, and I don't know. Like you said, it doesn't align anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm never going to talk shit about the fucking foundations, right? Like, I mean, Dan gave me everything that I needed to be good at conversational sales. I learned that shit from Dan, and that, like, a lot of people in my audience are kind of that woo context, right? And like, they're like, what? Like, what do you mean you like we're working in bro marketing land? It's like, you guys, like, you don't understand. Like, the shit they do, it works. And once you can understand why it works, then you can make it your own, right? But it's like, if you don't understand why it works, you haven't actually applied it yourself, then you shouldn't be fucking talking shit about it, because those motherfuckers are making some money, dude. Like, they're making some fucking money, they're kicking ass, and they're taking names. You know, it's just that they do it in a different way than we do. And I learned my foundations. Like, the reason why I'm good at messaging is because of Dan. That is what got me good at that shit. Like, you know, when I first joined DMC, right? It was sold out courses back then. When I joined sold out courses, I went in there and I watched all fucking like 90 hours of Dan's coaching calls where he was ripping people's messaging to shreds and redoing them. And that is how I got good at messaging. Because he's hilarious.
He's so funny. He's so funny. Those fucking coaching calls, like that I live for those. He's so funny. And I think that's what connected me too, because you know, the Russell Brunsons and all that shit, they don't cuss.
They're not funny.
They're not funny. They don't cuss. It seemed really fake to me. And I'm like, oh, it feels like when people go into singers, like, you know, they grow out of these bars and then they get at their first deal and then they start sounding like Hollywood. And you're like, where the fuck did you go? I feel like that's what a lot of happened. But Dan, I don't know, he had this.
I think he went out of it and like started acting right. And then he was like, fuck this shit, right? And then he like went back into it. And he was like, I'm going to fucking do whatever I want, right? Like, I like that about Dan. Like, I like the rogueness in him. And I also like that, like, we were in these rooms together. And you guys, I want you to know, like, Casey and I were in the room together. Like, this was not virtual shit. Like, we were sitting next to each other. Casey taught me how to eat baby food. Look at it.
The important things in life.
We sat next to each other and like listened to this shit. And what I love about Dan is like, Dan didn't take any shit. You know, like, people would come in there and was like, oh, I can't get clients. He's like, no, fuck you. Like, you're not doing the fucking modules. You're not doing the fucking work. And like, he was so brash about that shit. Like, I love that. I love a fucking coach that's not going to fucking coddle and is not going to treat you like a baby while you're sitting there saying, I want to make $1 million a month, but I'm a baby. Like, he didn't put up with any of that shit. And that to me was so like breath of fresh air. Like, he doesn't let people ask stupid fucking questions.
And I wouldn't have been ready for him, Nicole, 3 years before I met him, because I was still in my shit. Like, you know, everything meant something. I was like the victim and Like, I couldn't have handled him then. But this time is totally different. Like, I saw everything he said out of a place of love and to get results. Yeah.
I mean, I never felt like, I felt like Dan didn't know what the fuck I sold for like 6 months, but like, but, you know, like, I never felt that feeling where he like didn't want me to get results. Like, everything that he told me was like really brash and really honest. And like, because he didn't want to see me fucking lose. Right. And so like, he wasn't going to sugarcoat it. He wasn't going to coddle me. And, you know, I think that there was something so poignant about being a woman in that room, because not very many women can be in that room. Not very many women can be talked to like that.
Well, Dan still has stuff to work through with females, and I think he would agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, he
but I liked it. He met me where I'm at in my trauma pattern, right?
Right. Me and you both, we attracted, like, there was a belief once long ago that men weren't safe and men were this and this and that and womanizers, and Dan had some of that, but we had obviously healed enough of our shit to receive the good. Yeah. So, hey.
Yeah. And I don't think a lot of women could. I think a lot of women would go running for the hills, terrified of Dan, and like, oh, he's too much. Blah, blah, blah. Like, Dan's not too much. Like, Dan is just the right amount of Dan. If you're the kind of person that can fucking receive that, he has a brilliant fucking mind. And I love that there's other women that could fucking see that. And that's why I loved you so much. Like, in that fucking thing, I was like, this bitch is not scared of him. Like, I like that shit.
Not at all. I saw him as like this little angry boy that
he's
channel
like my
marketing.
little brother that I kind of want to push down in the dirt, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we were the same age, and I remember just being with him, and I go, listen, just channel marketing. Like, I just want him to channel market, because I feel like he does. I don't even know if he knows. His voice changes too.
Yes, he does. You can hear it in the ads.
You can, and you can hear talking and everything. I'm like, you're totally like channeling right now. You don't even know it. It's cool.
Yeah, and he's totally like oblivious to it. He doesn't know at all. It's so
hates
cute.
It.
It's so cute.
He hates it. He'd go, I remember when he said, Nicole, he goes, oh God, you just Casey, just say you're going to teach them how to fucking blow unicorns out their ass and talk about chakras, and they'll throw 10 grand at you. I'm like, and they make fun of us. They're like, they make fun of women like us. Like, literally, they make fun of us.
Yeah, I mean, he was always fucking talking shit, but I loved it. I love that fucking honesty. And like, there's so much like integrity in the fact that he could just be raw and real. And I learned so much about fucking coaching from him. It was like insane, you know? So it's cool to like have that kind of, you know, that origin story for us to like get to grow up in this kind of bro marketing world and then transition into what we're doing. I love that about
you know what I liked about his coaching? You brought something up. You know how he'd run his coaching calls, and I do this with my people. He'd say, "What's the problem?" and then ask you another thing. And he wouldn't get off and like, he goes, "That's not a problem. You're telling me how you feel and what you think. Like, what's the fucking problem?" That's my favorite thing I learned from him.
You know, I put in a system inside of my program that I make them do the diagnostic, right? So they have to bring me 2 symptoms and a question, like the
Love
fucking triage system, because like, I don't want to, I don't need a fucking 4-hour backstory. Like there's fucking 30 people on the fucking call, like chop, right? Like 2 symptoms and a fucking question, because you don't need to do that. Like seen and heard is not for this, right? Like you need to feel seen and heard by yourself, not by your fucking coaching container.
And you can use it anywhere. That is a skill. You can use it at the fucking grocery store, at a hotel. It's a skill set you can take anywhere. So true. I love that.
Tell me a little bit about what's going on in your life right now, because you're making some big moves. You're making some big transitions. Things are changing up a little bit. Tell me about that transformational energy.
I cried today in the car, you know, because there's a thing called like it's a syndrome. I don't know, whatever. They got labels for everything. But it's when you get homesick. It's like when you just move somewhere, culture shock. That's what it's culture shock. You know, where I tried a new pole class out today and I chose like advanced. I didn't see that. I'm like, fuck. Just every little thing, you know, you realize you're off your normal flow, which is fine. Your feminine really gets tested. But I just sat there, and then in Florida, South Florida, it's always fucking hot. Like I'm a lizard, like it needs to be really hot. You know how it's hot there. Here in Laguna, it's not, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I've always wanted to be here my whole life in Southern California. So I don't want to go back there, but I'm in this transition of there's frustration, there's sadness, there's grief, because you have to give, you know, you have to kind of let go of stuff to get the new. So I'm just going through all that right now, being a human and stuff. What else? We were doing plant medicine retreats, and that didn't it's not that it didn't go well. It's just that I wasn't supposed to be doing that. Now I send people to my shaman if they need like plant medicine, and then I'm just doing more integration work. Mm-hmm. So that was a huge thing off my shoulders. But other than that, just getting settled into the new place. We've been here for 2 weeks. It's been fucking wild, man. We lived in, I think, 6 houses within 2.5 months with my kids and 2 dogs. And while we're doing all this stuff and scaling, like we fucking fucked some shit up with business, revamped my whole system, my business and systems. And it's beautiful, aligned, as Nicole would say. We did a lot of shit the past 3 months. Bitch is tired. Like, well, I'm going through a lot in a beautiful way. Like I'm going through another transition, metamorphosis, I think, and I've created a new program. Like it's a new feminine program. It has nothing to do with fitness, and it's who I was always supposed to be and do and all this, and it's really, really cool.
I love that for you, that you can have that transitionary thing, because it's like, it's the growth, right? It's fucking limitless and all that. And I love that you're able to just keep the shit rolling, even though you're moving, like even though you're going through all this shit. Like so many people make this excuse, right? Where it's like, oh, I can't make money because, like, I can't run my business because, like, this is happening, that's changing. And like, that shit's just not true.
It's masculine. It's wounded ass masculine. That's all it is. It's just wounded shit, man. You gotta get in that feminine where you're just like,
flow, bitch.
It's flow. It's flow. It's trust. Yeah. And fairy does, man.
Yeah, I like the idea that, you know, now that we have this fucking skill set, right? Now that we have our audiences, now we have our skill set, we have our fucking sales systems, we've got our team, we got all the shit. And now it's like we can live our lives in whatever throws at us in this capacity of flow, and we can still make money, we can still help people, we can still serve, no matter what the fuck is going on.
It's so cool. It's so cool. It's so cool that you're teaching women that, you know, so powerful. And that's why I wanted you to be on my podcast. So thanks for letting me use this, because you help women like us build their businesses. Like, I mean, you are a marketing coach. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's something where like, I didn't know that that's what I was like in that space. And like, I've worked in so many different capacities in the service industry, right? Like, you know, doing the bartender thing, doing the consulting thing, and like finally to find something that like just clicks and like fits in. It's like, I'm just taking people who have an existing fucking skill set, right? And then quarter turning that shit to the left and actually making it make money, and then teaching them how to fucking build that flow. I mean, because it doesn't have to be like bro marketing land. It doesn't have to be this way or that way. You can build this shit however the fuck you want and make millions. Like, and to know that that's possible. Like,
man, you're gonna have
I
to
wish
get
I would
on
have known
that.
this shit 10 years ago.
You're gonna have to get on that vibe. What's his name? It's got the wears the nose thing and he talks sales all the time. Hotmomz.
Oh yeah.
Where he charges money for getting people started. Like you would be like a record label person. Where you make a little bit when you help them get going. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I'm with you because this new offer, it has nothing to do with fitness and nutrition. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Go right back to what we know, it's found just the foundations. And because of that, it's so easy.
Yeah. I mean, when you're living your result, right? When you're actually living the results that you sell, like it doesn't, like, how people say that's like, oh, like do something you love and like you'll never have to work a day in your life. Like, yeah, okay, whatever, bitch. But like, it's like really the context of like when you're living the results that you sell, like just your life is your marketing.
That's right. Pretty much. Like what kind of women is in your thing? Like what do they do?
Well,
or is it all?
I mean, I actually started this for my mom. I don't know if I told you that, but like I started this whole thing for my mom. That's why I joined DMC, because my mom is a Tantra expert. Like she's very high ranking in the Tantra world, right? Like she's a fucking badass, right? And she wanted to start moving things online. It was actually right before COVID had hit, but because my uncle, her little brother, has Down syndrome. And so his health is declining and she's his caregiver. And so health is declining and she hasn't been able to travel that much. And so she was like, how can we move this online? And I was like, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. And that's how I found Dan's course. And so I bought it to build sold out courses. I bought it to build an online course for my mom. And so it turned into this thing where I started working with people who were of similar ilk, right? Like bitches that really are good at what they do, but wanted to build a secondary revenue stream online. And so that's how it got started. And now it's like, now it's turned into a lot of like coaches coaching coaches, like that kind of shit. But also like I have a lot of like really high performance like professionals that are, quarter turning to the left and adding another fucking revenue stream.
Nice. Yeah, this is so helpful because we needed somebody to send our gals. Because right now, I'll send them to Dan and I'll send them to John Whiting sometimes. But I need a girl. And like Kat Ruth is great. She doesn't give a lot of the systems though, like you do. And we need that.
Yeah. No, we do a lot of systemization. For me, like I get the whole, like, let's just sit down and manifest clients, like whatever. Like I get it. I understand that like that's a thing for some people, but like from the majority of people, like they're not like living like wild feral creatures in the fucking forest. Like they need something that's sustainable, that is going to create some consistent revenue for their families, that they can still be a fucking mom, right? They can still be a mom and like have that kind of thing. And so putting the systemization in place creates consistency in the balance. But also allows you to scale without like wrecking your life, right? It's like you can scale without fucking working 90 hours a week.
Oh my God. Yeah. And chaos. Yeah. Fuck that. What are your women? I'm curious. You said they wanted to know about Dan. What else did they want to know? Did you ask them what they wanted to know?
Yeah. It's like this thing, like they're always kind of asking because most of them have like never experienced bro marketing land, right? And they're like scared of it, right? Like I'm not going over there. But I think that like the most common questions I get of this, like, well, one was like, how did you put up with that? Like, how did you deal with it? Right. Which I didn't think was that bad. But I think that they want to know like who he is on the inside and like also like what kind of people are in those programs that are like them, because I think we have a lot to learn from bro marketing land. And I think that staying in the woo context and never crossing over isn't a good thing. Just like I think for bro marketers, they should come over and take our fucking courses, right? Like,
Agreed.
Listen to me. If you are a bro marketer lurking in our fucking audiences right now, you should be taking courses from us because here's the thing. We know how to sell to women and you fucking don't.
Thank you. I had a guy from bro marketing world. He just sends me $5,000 to be in my program because they think that, this, Nicole, they look at us and they think that there's this one thing we're doing that they're not. Okay?
And it's having a vagina.
It's that woo shit. And that he gets in and I tell him, I'm like, listen, and I have that conversation because they're asking me all that shit. And I'm like, I'm giving them basic stuff about selling to women and how we like this and that. And he goes, wow, who'd you learn that from? I'm like, I'm a woman. You know what I mean? Like, I know how I like to shop and how I like to buy. So you're totally right.
Yeah, mark my words, because I will do this one day. And actually, Dan was like, I'd buy that, right? Like, I told him, I was like, I'm going to develop a course that is specifically for bro marketers. Because, I mean, dirty little secret, I love a bro marketer, right? Like, I like to talk to them. I like to kind of fuck with them a little bit. Like, they're like bar regulars, right? Like, I like to fuck them up a little bit. And so I love all those guys. Like, they're like little brother contacts for me. So I'm going to build a course that is for bro marketers, that teaches bro marketers how to activate and sell their courses specifically to fucking women, because they don't know. They're selling this shit to men, and good for them, because men are 80% of the fucking market, right? But that 20% can push you over the edge and create massive competitive edge inside of your fucking program if you know how to speak to women.
Totally. And some of the men, their feminine needs to be activated, because we all have feminine masculine inside of us. So let's go. And then I know Cole Gordon now. I work with him as well, and he's one of the few that I've found that has a little bit of that feminine in there. And I'm impressed with him. Like his whole team, I'm like, okay, y'all fucking with it a little bit, you know. He got something there. But out of all the bro people, Cole has felt like the most balanced, I would say. But he does a lot of bro shit. But yeah, Dan, I'm with Nicole. It's foundational shit. You have to have enough of your stuff cleared, I guess, to where you're not. You can take the meat and leave the bones. Yeah.
No, you have to be at that level. You shouldn't be in bro marketing land if you can't process your own emotional distress. Like, being able to process your own emotions and soothe and emotionally regulate, and then go into bro marketing land with the intention of, like, you know, working on your shit, right? And like let those activations flow straight through your bitch ass, right? Like, let the activations flow through, and then learn what's underneath it, because they teach foundations. If you can get past the bullshit, their foundational strategies are solid, and they're not like, I don't know, a lot of the female stuff and the woo stuff is very flighty, like very trendy, right? Like, what bro marketing is teaching you is not fucking trendy. Like, it's not trendy shit. It's what's going to work for forever.
It's support. That's what masculine is. It's a support and security. FYI, that's what masculine energy is.
Yeah.
Confident, you know, secure, supportive. People just think whatever, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm so with you on that. There was something else that I was going to say about Dan and being in the program, but it'll come back to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that being in there, I mean, it just gave me a perspective that I will forever use. I will use everything that I learned in that, you know, year and a half that I spent with him for forever.
Oh, okay. I know what it was. And yes, same here. It is when I remember I was into this, where when you work with people, I don't know if you've ever done this, you almost, like, if I was going to work with you, I'm putting you on this pedestal. And then the second that you say something that's, like, say you're voting for somebody that's different than me, or your religious views are different than mine, or you fucking use a different tampon, and then I'm going to judge you. And then I, like, fall out of love with you. Like, I can't learn from you anymore because you're not just like me. I had to really deal with that shit long ago. You know what I mean? Because it's like, no. You're paying Nicole or Dan or whoever, Casey, for that just thing that they're teaching right here. You're not buying into what they fucking toilet paper brand they use and shirts they go to. You know what I mean? But people do that.
No,
they like romanticize. What is that called?
I don't know. Fucking being like, it's like the whole thing of, like, this person is your deity. It's your guru. It's like this person has to be everything to you. And that's fucking insane. Dan gave me permission. I don't know if you had joined yet. It might have been like one of your first weeks or so when you came in, but like, I was talking to him, and he had told me something so fucking important that changed my whole fucking life. He said, Nicole, they don't have to fucking like you to buy from you. And it gave me the permission to just be myself. Like, some people are not going to fucking like me, but you cannot deny the fact that I made $1 million in my first fucking 13 months. Like, you may not like the shit that's coming out of my mouth, but it's the fucking truth, right? Like, and so some people are not going to like me, and like, that's okay. Like, you can still make fucking millions of dollars and change millions of people's fucking lives, even if people don't fucking like you. And like, I needed to hear that at that point in my, like, journey. I needed to hear that so much. And like, I remember sitting there being like, God, like, the thought never fucking occurred to me, because my whole life I've been sitting here trying to fucking make people like me. Turns out I'm not that fucking likable.
Same here to most people, but fuck it, man. You know, to the ones that like us. You know what really helped me a lot was sitting at the table with you and others. And let's see how it was. Because I remember eating a gummy like that night or the night after and having this huge breakthrough. Oh, I was so caught up, Nicole. My ego was so tripped up, like wanting them to see. like women coming in for hormones. And they're like, well, I don't need anything else. I'm already good here. I just need the hormones. I'm like, you stupid bitch. You're out. You're telling me that you can't use more money and you don't want to clear the reason why you have a hormonal issue. You just want to get on like that and just like surface level shit. You don't want to go to the root and like clear it out and all this. I was trying to make them see the shit, but you said this, Dan said this, and it hit me. I think I received it more when you said it. You're just kind of like, you got to sell them what they want. You know, it doesn't make you a bad person. Because I would see Dan and all of them, I'm not going to lie. There's still an aspect of me that I really have to slow down because I'm like, they're just selling. They really don't care, you know, but with you, because you're a woman, isn't that crazy? Which
there's
is
some
not
bitches
true.
that don't care too.
I know there's a lot of women that don't care a lot, but you know, it's just something, the way you said it was so genuine. You're like, yeah, it doesn't make you a bad person. You're not sleazy. Just sell them what they want, give them what they need. And then I thought, oh my gummy, man. The Superman guy came in. What's his name? Clark Kent or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, he dresses like an everyday person. Okay, he has to, or else he wouldn't know how to be Superman. I'm like, bitch, be like that.
No,
you know?
That's exactly it. Like, we have this thing inside of us because we care and because we give a fuck and like all this shit where we want to sell people what they need, right? And I think this is a very female trait in general. It's like, it's a nurture component, right? It's like, I'm going to give you exactly what you need to like get what you need, right? Like to get what you want and like all this stuff. And we have it backwards, right? We cannot sell people what they need. We have to sell them what they want and then deliver what they need inside of the program. And like understanding that selling them on what they think is the solution is ultimately what gets them the fucking result. You got to speak their fucking language.
That's it. That's the key right there. If everybody could just rewind, that's the key right there.
I always tell my fucking clients, right, where I'm like, once they're on the inside, right, once they're inside of the fucking program, once they're in there, they've already paid, they're already in, they're already modules deep, right? They're already kind of hating me because I keep telling them shit they don't want to hear, right? I tell them, I said, look, I want you to understand, when you bought this program, you bought nonstop notifications. It's a unicorn client attraction program using energetically aligned social selling without the struggle of cold outreach. That's what you fucking bought, okay? You bought unicorn clients because that's what you want. But really, to be honest, this program is a self-assurance program. I teach you how to believe in the thoughts that are coming into your head. I teach you to believe in that fucking inner voice. I teach you to let go of your self-doubt and fucking be self-assured. But if I got up on a fucking stage and I said, hey, I'm selling a $10,000 self-assurance program, you would tell me to go fuck myself because you would say,
I've already done that.
I don't need self-assurance. I already have that. Bitch, if you already had self-assurance, you'd be making millions.
This is it. This is why I had to go in and clear some frustration today, because we've had a couple of those, but I had a lot of frustration. So it was just being mirrored back to me. Fuck. But right, don't you just love when that happens?
Yes.
Like,
stop
shit, why are they
feeding me
being
my
like
own shit?
Yeah, that was my favorite. Yeah, when the clients wouldn't do certain things, I'm like, well, bitch, what are you not doing? Oh yeah. Okay, then you do that. All your clients do it. Yeah. So hey, okay. So tell me this. Can I ask you a question now?
Yeah. Ask me.
All right. So we do a lot on nervous system regulation. We used to say trauma release, whatever, but that was such a big word. We just said nervous system regulation. Okay, money. Money has a lot to do because it's an energy. It's a big energy. A lot of money is a big energy. And you came into a lot of money quickly and you still have it. I mean, you still maintained it. So tell us some of the things because you didn't come from money. You didn't come from millionaires, did you? No. All right. Tell us a little bit of the things that went through your mind. Like, how did you settle in and feel safe to receive and have and multiply that money versus like, oh my God, sabotaging yourself or spending all of it and then being back in the fucking hole. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how did you feel safe with more and more money?
Yeah, money was interesting for me because, I came from bartender land. So, like, I have a very intimate relationship with money because I touch so much of it, right? Like, think about, like, counting down banks, right? Like, counting down banks all the fucking time, rolling that shit up and snorting cocaine through it, right? Like, I have a very intimate relationship with money. Like, I touch a lot of money, right? And so coming into this, it was very interesting to have the first big pull, right? It's like I came in, my first launch was $22,000. And at the time that was life-changing to do 3 days, a 3-day workshop and make $22,000 cash collected. Like like 2 months before that, I was a bartender, right? Like, I mean, like it was life-changing. And then 6 weeks after that, do it again and do a $60,000 launch. Like, I mean, it blew my mind, right? It blew my mind. And I was like crying and like not, you know, like all the things. And then you have to deal with like, you talk about the money online and then everyone comes after you, right? Like it was like the vultures like circling. I mean, I had people messaging me telling me like, how dare you, right? Like, first of all, how dare you, right? Like, how dare you talk about money online like this? You're lying. What pyramid scheme are you in? And then I had people sending me messages like, my daughter needs a kidney transplant. Like, I mean, there was so much that got activated so fast that it was like, I mean, the tube was just open and it was like, oh my God, it was so painful, so fast. But for me, like it became this thing of like, the reason why I was afraid to have money was because I didn't feel like I was smart with money, because I let my fucking ex-boyfriend steal my identity and I let him fucking ransack my finances. So I didn't feel like I was smart with money. And like, he had actually told me a lot of those stories because he was a smart cookie too, right? He was, if that motherfucker opened a course, he would make billions. Like he was so good at that shit, but he just used it for nefarious things, right? So it was like this thing inside of me that I was telling myself a story that I wasn't smart with money. And so I needed to get smart with money in order to feel safe. And so I took my first 6-figure month. I made $125,000 in November 2020, right? And I took that $100,000 and I went and I bought, it was the down payment for 13 properties. And so like I had the experience of like investing, right? And it was scary and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I had some help, right? I had some financial advisors kind of like hold my hand through this. And so we went through the process and like becoming smart with money and like letting go of that identity that I was like a little girl and that I couldn't manage my money. The logic piece is what held that first cornerstone of the frequency, is that I made a very smart investment. Those in 16 months, those 13 properties made me $800,000, right?
Oh my God.
And that's not money that I count in my like coaching journey, right? Like that's extra money, right? And so like I got smarter with money and that made me feel, because it's about the feeling, it's not about the logic, right?
That's right.
It made me feel like the person. It made me feel capable. And so in that capability, I started to understand. And so now I just learn a little bit about money. Like every time it's like once a month, I'll take some stupid class online, or I'll like listen to a podcast about like investing. I mean, shit that I'm probably never going to do, but it's like, it's still just like it's financial literacy that made me feel like I could talk in the right rooms with the right people. And so then when we're in this circle and sitting there with people who are making millions of dollars, I can keep up with their conversations kind of about like crypto. I can keep up with their conversations about real estate investment. Like I know what's going on. And so I feel like the person.
That's so fucking good. So many nuggets. And that goes back to the thing of, we all sit there and do you don't feel good enough and it's because of this and you need to do a lot of that. Listen, I'm not saying bypass that shit. Do a lot of it. However, a lot of us don't feel good enough because we're not. And you say, okay, what would make you feel good enough? And what I'm hearing is it was financial literacy. What would make me feel good enough is to invest and make money on that. Now I feel capable.
You got to take those actions. Like, and that's where that masculine comes in, right? And the masculine comes in as the support, is to say, how could I use my masculine energy right now to support my feminine feelings? Because my feeling is I don't feel capable, right? And so I have this feeling, if I can take the masculine and support that, then I've got both energies flowing and working together.
Yeah, that's what I'm working through right now. That's why I wanted to talk to women specifically that made over like $300-400 a month consistently, because it's a frequency. Do you feel that it's a different energy in the below 100K? Yeah, it's almost like the 200,000 like a year. There's ceilings. It's almost like 100K months is a different energy than 70K months, a different energy than 250K months, and I haven't made 300 yet, so I couldn't tell you. But there's an aspect in me as well. I can feel, as you know, as a channel, I'm getting all these like high numbers, man. I'm talking high numbers. And it's something in me is like, what the fuck am I going to do with it? And then I'm like, all right, we're going to do energetic budgets. And we're going to put it here. And it goes back to the investing and stuff so that we feel like, okay, we're safe. We're good.
Yeah, I think that having something to do with the money is really helpful. Like there was also that, stories get running in your head where you're like, I don't need this much money, right? Like, what am I even going to do with it? Like, I'm not going to buy purses. Like, I don't care. Right. Like, it's like, so you don't have anything to do with it. So then it's like, why do I need it? And so I think that like, that was really challenging for me because I mean, I have more money than I could ever know what to fucking do with, like that way. Right. Like, I mean, I have, I'm have the house. Like I have my dream fucking house. I drive a fucking Bentley. Like my kids have everything. Right. I mean, like this, I'm still wearing sweatshirts that I bought in high school. You know, like I don't want things. So why do I need money? And I think that that's where it's really important to like flip the switch that, you know, in the beginning, we have to teach ourselves that money is energy so that we can make money and like treat it that way. But then in the middle, money becomes money. It becomes very solid. But I think as you ascend and, you know, above 6-figure months, multi 6-figure months, you're climbing into that space of like collapsing time, right? Like I just made $308,000 in the last 3 weeks, right? Like, so like, as that time collapses and you start to feel it, money transfers away from money and it turns back into energy, right? And it's like, it sounds silly to say like, I don't need energy, right?
Yeah, I could see where that would sound silly, but when you have enough, it's like, well, it's just more than enough. You have more than enough if you choose, maybe.
Well, when you have more energy, you can do more good things with it, right? And so like I tell myself the story too, that money in the hands of good people does good things, right?
Period.
And so when you have that story running, it's like, okay, I know I have good hands, right? Like I have good hands. I do good things with my money. I support other people with my money. I help people with my money. And so it's not even the fact of like, I need to make it for me. It's that if I'm not making the money, someone else is.
Yeah. And I understand that 100%. God almighty. We need women like us for sure with a fuck ton of money. Good-hearted women. I mean, we're the ones that can, for me, change the world. Peace. I mean, that's what women want deep at their core is peace, more love, da 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 da. You know what I mean? I love that. No, that was a great thing. I think, did I have any more questions for you in the nervous system around money? Now, what is Daniel? How does the work thing go with the two of you? What does he do?
Yeah, I mean, the relationship thing is so fucking interesting, right? You know, it's okay. I met him before the money. And I think that women that meet him after the money have a very different story from this, right? Whether it's like us, where we met the men first and then we built, right? So much of what happens in the money is like a reflection of our relationship, you know, of like that support. I mean, obviously the masculine and feminine dynamics, but also like me being my masculine and him being in his feminine, right? Like that dynamic switching back and forth. For me, Daniel has been really supportive. And because I know, you know, when we work with all these women, we see men who are not supportive. Like we see husbands that suck. We see husbands that like literally sabotage their wives' businesses. Like that happens all the fucking time, right?
They let it though. We got to teach them. They
do. They let this happen. They choose these partners, right? And then it's like, it's a sabotage pattern. We're like, well, then I can't make money because my husband's just going to take it and blow it anyway. And that shit does happen. I definitely have had clients where
happened to me.
They would make money and then their husband would just fucking buy a boat, right? Like
I want to say something that happened to me, and it just comes from a belief that if you're not safe with money because people take it. It goes back to people taking your money, and somebody's going to take your money when you get it, and you can fucking clear that shit.
Yeah. I mean, Daniel and I had this thing too, because like we were making all this money and his family, they are takers, right? And so, and I told him, I said, I don't care if they are takers. You are not going to give it to them, right? Like this is a decision. Like they don't have access to our bank account, right? Like
it's a no. Yeah.
Like no more money. Like we're not going to just give, I mean, and I had to do this with my family and friends too, right? Where it's like, you have to set those energetic boundaries. Like, look, I am happy to help you to help yourself to make more money. And I will give you a friends and family discount to come into my program if you are my fucking sister. Cool, right? If you are my cousin, I will fucking hook you up, whatever. But I'm not going to hand you money. Because
you're enabling them. Now you're toxic.
I'm part of the problem if I start doing that shit, right? And
absolutely. You're telling them energetically that you're not capable.
Right. And like that, and that's the same thing with your spouse, right? Is holding yourself to a certain level of standard so that, you know, they can see that modeled for them and they can understand that. I mean, I think with Daniel, like he came from 9-to-5 land, like he had a smart job, like a good boy job, right? Like he worked for the state. He was, he's a water engineer. And so he had like a state job, you know, and he quit. He cashed out his 401k. Like, I mean, it was like done. And then when he moved to be with me, he moved states, right? And he had this thing in his head where he was like, I'm going to go work for the state here. And I was like, no, you're not. It was like, because that will tear us apart. Like, you can't work a 9 to 5 where you have to ask permission to go on vacation. Like, that's not going to work for us, you know? And so like we decided like he was going to get his licensing and then open his own firm. Right. And so it was really hard for him in the beginning. Like, it was a lot of struggle and a lot of fucking shit not working and, you know, me floating everything and like all that kind of shit in the beginning. But now he turned the corner. Right. And so we're kind of on like opposite sides, like, if that makes sense, you know. It was like he goes forward and then like slingshots me, and then like we slingshot each other back and forth. He partnered with a fucking billionaire, right? He partnered with a billionaire. They are like full speed ahead. They just bought like, I don't know, like fucking $5 million worth of equipment, like all these tractors and shit that I don't care about, but he's always telling me about all the different kinds of tractors.
Yeah.
I'm like, that one looks like a long neck. Like, I don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Right. So he bought all this fucking equipment. They're doing all these developments together. And so he's really getting into the stretch of the money mindset stuff, which is really helpful. Like, it's helpful to have a partner that like plays that game too. He doesn't play it the same, and he's at a different pace than we are, but it's amazing to like watch it happen and like unfold. Yeah. And I know that like having him come, like, it's so interesting to have like Skip in the room and then Daniel in the room, and they're like, their perceptions of like the coaching industry, fucking gold to have like that outside perspective.
Oh, I bet, because it's like means nothing. Does it? Like, Skip kind of sees it as he checks some things out, but then he sees like, this is all just like silly, you know. Some of it he thinks is just silly, but some of it he's like, wow, you know, that's good shit, or that's not, you know, whatever.
I think that there needs to be more like, okay, like a program for men, like the husbands of these female entrepreneurs. Like, they need help. Like, they need support.
I want Skip to do it. He started doing it.
I want Daniel to do it too.
It's so needed. It's so needed because the women that we've become, we step into our becoming, like, it's a lot of power. Men need to know how to work with that.
They do. And it's not like, who are they going to learn that from? Their fucking dads? Like, no, right?
Hell no. Please don't ask dad. Please
don't ask your dad. That's not the person, right? Like, there needs to be some, like, that needs to like enter the, like, we're calling it in for the fucking zeitgeist, right? Like, somebody please open a fucking program for men that of like the husbands of the fucking female coaching industry, because they need support. They need a place to go. They need to be able to talk to somebody else. They need to have that like feedback, because they don't have it in their everyday life. Like, we forget because we hang out with each other. We spend time with each other. And so we normalize this, but like, they don't have the normalization because they're working their muggle jobs, you know? I mean, even though Daniel's an entrepreneur, I mean, and the money is good, but I mean, it's not like this, right? I mean, you know, it's totally fucking different when you're brick and mortaring versus, you know, playing in the realms of $300,000 in fucking 3 weeks. You know, it's
mind blowing. Something that came up, and then that's my last question. So you went through a lot too, and I think that's how we connected. Like, we both have kind of that soul sis. Like, we recognize. Like, namaste. We recognize the past struggles and then where we are now, and that's what I see in you. I really respect that, and I honor you for that. So, with all of this change that you've been through, what was your self-care thing? Like, what was your thing? I see you go to the ocean a lot. Like, what do you do when you're just fucking flipping out, can't make a decision, goddamn, your mind's fucked? Like, what do you do?
For me, this is like feet in the sand. Okay. It's like my go-to from back when like I couldn't emotionally regulate at all. Like, when everything was like fucking ripping itself to shreds, and like in that moment, the only thing that could like calm me down was like, I would go up, I'm right next to Lake Tahoe, right? So I would go up to Lake Tahoe and I would be by myself, right? And I would just stand there with my feet like buried in the sand, and I would be like the streaming crying, right? Like that just streaming down my face, and like just standing there, just like letting it like letting myself just not die for a minute, right? Like that was all I could get to, was like the semblance of like, I wasn't even trying to feel better. I was just trying to feel okay, right? And so when I was in that space, like it was when I quit drinking, and so like I had no emotional coping skills at the fuck all, right? So my feelings were just like running me over. And so I would just stand there for like hours, right? And so now it's like I can visualize it and I don't even have to go. I can like visualize that. But for me, like something about like the ions of like sand, like the groundedness, and then like being in front of the water, like something about that flow is really like calming to my nervous system. And so I can replicate that now through visualization, and I can do it like in the moment, you know, when you're on a sales call and you like need to like calm the fuck down, right? Like I can do it then and there. But like that for me was like the training ground, was like nature, like being in that space, but also just being alone. Like as someone who had kids super young, I had my kid when I was fucking 19 years old. Like I've literally like never been alone. I never learned how to be alone. And so like being with myself was really uncomfortable. You know, of like having only my voice in my head was uncomfortable for a long time.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, girl. I tried to take so much shit and numb that motherfucker out. You know, drink so much shit, snort shit, take shit, all of it. So no, I appreciate that, because my girls are really gonna appreciate hearing that, because they hear it from me. But you know, if it's coming from you, that's like, okay, fine, it's one more person, and apparently it's true then.
They all think that, right? It's like they need the confirmation bias.
God damn.
I got one for you. Okay. So at one point, I don't know, some time ago, I had like said something, and I don't remember what the fuck I was teaching, but like some sort of mindset derivative thing, right? And someone in my audience said to me, she said, "Who did you learn that from?" And I kind of like cocked my head to the side, right? Like where it was like, bitch, right? Like, and I'm like, what do you mean, who did I learn that from? And I said to her, do you think that people ask Joe Dispenza who that he learned that from? Like, they don't ask him that. Like, why don't they ask him that? Like, because they believe that, like, that authority line. I was like, what if all of us are qualified to receive this information and spit it the fuck out? We are all just as qualified as anybody else. Like, nobody on this planet has it figured out. Like, no one. Like, nobody. There's not like a guy at the top that's like, I know the secret and none of you guys know it. Like, we all know just as much as each other. Like, you don't need somebody to you don't need to have learned it in a book in order for it to be true.
I wonder if she like knows about invisible realms, spiritual stuff.
Well, I think that people get this idea in their head where they just want a source of authority, you know, where it's like, oh, you read it in a book, so it must be true. It's like, you know that a person wrote the book, right? So what makes that person more qualified than any other person? Like nobody is more qualified than anybody else. Like,
bitch, did you feel it? Did you feel that? It's true. Did it feel good or not good? All right, then there you
go. How do you know when something is true for you? What's your bone?
It feels supportive. It feels good. It feels expansive, next level, non-restrictive.
How did you learn to trust that?
Years of just practicing.
I mean, I think that part was hard for me. Like being in this.
It is for everybody. It is for everybody. And I'm still, there's levels to this shit, man.
I feel like it's easy for stupid people. Why do stupid people believe their shit so much quicker than the rest of us?
Yeah, well, that's where I question. I'm like, I think it's some delusional, because you look at it, a lot of things in their life's not working. And you go, like a lady the other day goes, I'm going to pray about it. And I said, honey, surely it's not the same like thing you've been praying to, because it's not work. Seems like it hadn't worked out for you. I'd pray to something else. And she ended up signing up.
Well, you gotta get people problem aware, you know?
I mean, shit. But no, it's just, women are so powerful and we don't know it. And it's I can't explain it. There's things that we haven't even begun to tap into because it's so scary. And once you start to just a little bit more and trust yourself more, and you start to see things come in and you're like, okay, wow. I don't know. It's been years though. I mean, I've been trying to trust myself with this kind of stuff, probably actively 2010, maybe. I've been working on like that part of it.
What do you think this is going to look like for us? I mean, we're in this space where we're doing multi-6-figure months, right? Like, but we have, you know, we're rolling. We've got our audiences. We got all this shit. But like, push the fast forward. Like, think of like the end of like A League of Their Own, like when we're like little old ladies, you know. Like, what do you think this is going to look like for us? Like, when we're old, like, and we're like, you know, looking back, like that's such a weird thought for me. Because there's no one to model that shit for us.
Well, that's how I operate. I'll usually go to that place and then channel back to my former self. And then I'll see parts of myself, paths that I didn't take and what she needs now. So I know that I'd like to be in philanthropy some way. I need a lot of fucking money for that. But I have other things going on. Like there's this, I got an app that's about to be done with workouts. I want some fucking leggings, Nicole. I can't find leggings and shorts that are like I want them. So only option is I got to create some. That right. Just came up because I'm like, motherfucker, the books and all that stuff. For me, what is it going to turn into? Well, what the fuck do we want? I think that a lot of things are going to shift and change. I do know this. The frequency is similar. You remember 2012, the frequency shift?
Yes.
All right, that's going on right now. And whoever's on we're like perfect time to have all of this going on. And I think that there's like the old time, like the old days where millionaires was like, oh my God. And now it's almost like, I think the billionaire will be the new millionaire.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
That normalization.
Yeah, it won't be so like far out of reach. I don't know that maybe we're just fucking like already in Looneyville and that's our reality. Maybe it could be because there's probably still a reality where we're sitting there thinking 20 a month is a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy how fast it happens, right? It's like you can make that ascension path so quickly. Like if you think about it in like percentages, right? Where it's like, okay, you go from making $5K a month, like in your 9 to 5, and then you have a 50K month, like you 10X that shit, and it's like, and then you 10X it again. And like you're making $500,000 and like all these things like come in, like if you can do it once, you can do it again. Right. Like, and arguably the first 10X is the hardest. Going from 5K to 50K, that's the hardest.
Dude. Fuck. And I will say that I've matured in a way that I used to go, how fast can we get to 500? How fast can we get to 500 and normalize that? And then 700 and 700. And Whiting actually kind of got in my face about this. No, he didn't get my face. He's so zen. But you need to be okay with making like 100 grand a month, but keeping X amount. You just need to be okay with that. I don't know. And I saw what going really fast got me. Fuck, this, Nicole. I remember when I met you, go, I've got to change this. Yeah, the fast money was great. But you're like, I'm going to kill myself because of this. We've all been there.
Yeah.
And now I see it. I'm like, all right. Here's what I'd like, but it's not going to feel like that. And if I've got to choose that, then I'm not going to choose that. I'm okay with going slower because I'm in it for the long game.
Yeah.
So that feels better to me.
I think that for me, it was like pressure, right? It was like the pressure to do better than I did last month, where it's like, you always have to be like getting better, right? Like it was like that thing, like that shit was that was a brutal one. That was a hard shift to fucking make.
And it still comes up and I have to go, okay, who is this? And I'm like, okay, bitch, you're tired and you're going back to addiction. Like, stop. Because it'll still come up because I'm like, I got to do this. And I'm like, fuck, who are you? Numbers, really? Go do your fucking job. That's going to be there. It still comes up, But if you look at it, I think people see me as coming up quickly. Look how much you've changed so quickly. And I had to say, listen, you don't know me.
Yeah.
I've been bootstrapping this fucking shit since 2008. Like, you just met me since 2019. You think it's come so quickly. Yeah, after 2019, things started clicking, sure. But no. And this wasn't easy for
it's not overnight for any of us, and like that, like I have my clients come to me and I mean, sure, I get it. You saw the Facebook group go up, you saw $1 million get made, like it looked really fast. And you know what, for this business, it was, but I spent fucking 15 years banging my head against the fucking bar industry, not working. Like it wasn't working. Like no one fucking listened to me. Like I was constantly like being told to sit down and shut up. Right. Like I was fucking miserable, and I gained a lot of fucking experience in those years. And I mean, I was raising kids and, my kid's dad was dying. Like, I mean, there's all this shit happening. Right. Like, and I went through fucking hell. Like I didn't like just wake up one morning and like make $1 million. I took 15 years of really challenging fucking life experience and culminated it into something progressive. Like, and it worked really fast for me, but also I was a consultant for million and billion dollar companies when I was 24 fucking years old. Like I learned shit and then applied it. I have a lot of business fucking experience. Like I didn't just like walk in here as somebody who, didn't know where their butthole was and then just make $1 million. Like I had a lot of skill sets. I brought a lot of skill sets to the fucking table.
Thank you for saying that, because I hate when girls say it was so easy. Like I really just thought this and here it was. I'm like, come on, girl, you are like, I love that. But yeah, I don't know. I can't fuck with people like that. I need real shit, like not real.
Like, I mean, I love to see a fucking 22-year-old bitch fucking slay it just as much as anybody else. But at the same time, What the fuck? What do you have to offer me? Like, what life experience can you share with me? What can you give me in this that, like, what have you been through? Like, those are the kind of questions I need answered. I need to know what the fuck you've been through.
And I like that Dan had a kid. Not many in the bro market have kids.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
I like that too. And I even liked, I don't like this for him, but like, I even like that he had a challenging marriage situation where he was like working on it. And it also wasn't a thing where like, I see a lot of these dudes, okay, and like, some shade. I'm not going to say no shade. I'm going to say a medium amount of shade, right? Where these dudes are like, yeah, I'm like a dad, whatever. And like, they have a stay-at-home wife, right? It's like, you have a stay-at-home wife who like probably irons your fucking whitey tighties for you. Like, you basically have somebody like doing everything for you while raising your kids, like where you're free to be an entrepreneur. You can't compare that to a mom who is doing all the shit for the kids and ironing whitey tighties for her husband, right? While running her fucking business. Like, there's a different level of depletion on the other side of the fence. Like, it's
this is a woman. We are wired differently. Just as a woman, our brains want to take care of things. Mm-hmm. It's who we are. So, I feel you on that, man. I feel you. That's why I like people like Kat Ruth out there in the industry. She's like you. She's got the kids. She's had the challenging marriage. I'm with you. I'm saying full support of, I need somebody to have a past that wasn't easy, and they can give me some codes.
Yeah. I think that it's important. I think it's important to talk about that shit and not just make it all like sunshine and rainbows. It's like, the shit is not sunshine and rainbows. There's fucking clouds on the other side. And like, you gotta work through that shit. And like, it doesn't just go away. Like, you don't work through it one time and then you never deal with it again. Like, you ascend and you become a different version of yourself. And that different version of yourself has a different perspective of your kid's dad dying. And so there's going to be another fucking shift. There's going to be another shedding of the layers. And thank fucking unicorn for that, because that's what gives us the transformational energy to fucking transmute into money. That's how it works.
Shit. Absolutely. That's how it works, she says. I love it. And to anybody struggling out there, there's a flip side, an equal flip side to all the shit you're experiencing. There's an equal flip side. I wish somebody would have told me that. Hey, Casey, for all this you're experiencing, there's an equal opposite here. You could just choose that and believe it's there for you. And That would have been great.
And I think also like what I wish I would have known in the midst of all of that fucking bullshit, right? And I probably wouldn't have believed it, but it's this thing of like, this middle of the story part is required. It's not optional. Like, you have to have the middle of the story where you cut your teeth and you fucking figure this shit out and you learn all this stuff, because ultimately that's what allows me to serve my clients now. It's not a pretty fucking story to talk about being raped at 3 different fucking ages, but because I was raped at 3 different fucking ages, I can serve a lot of women who went through that at 3 different ages, and hopefully they only went through it once, right? Like, but that qualifies me to help so many more fucking people.
Same here. I just did some work on that this morning. There's always the things that we go through is just to help other people. And that's what it's about. We connect through pain, So I love that.
All right. So Casey, so great for having you. Thanks for having me here. Like, it's so awesome just to see your fucking face and to connect. And now we're kind of on the same coast. So maybe we should fucking hook up and do all the things. But tell everybody to take off their pants. Tell everybody why do you got to take off your pants?
Take off your motherfucking pants right now. Because your ass is nice. Your ass is real nice, man.
That's why you got to take off your pants, because your ass is nice. Nice. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Get out there, do all of the motherfucking unicorn things, and we'll catch you fucking later. For more trouble, go to realunicornsdon'twearpants.com. Hit that subscribe button, and remember, #fuckpants.